Well, good morning, folks. It's the day after the beginning of Mars Retro. And, the first effect of Mars Retro on me was I held two 100% online classes yesterday. And it was a very enlightening experience. And the second is that I lost Mrs. Emma Peel, one of my favorite female characters when I was growing up in the 60s. So, Sleep with Angels, Diana Rigg. Since it's a new cycle that's going to last until November 14, I thought maybe I'd experiment again and see how OBS can capture live games. So I'm going to try and do a tarot spread using Steam's Tabletop Simulator. So here goes. So the way I usually do it is I open my last spread, which I usually do during my own, what do you call this, lunar returns. For people who know astrology, that means that's when my natal moon goes back to its own sign and degree every month. It's supposed to give me a signature of what the month holds for me in terms of specifically my personal feelings and my emotional nature. So this is the spread I had uh, for the current lunar return, and it's an iffy spread. It starts off with the Queen of Pentacles, which represents anything that has to do with the environment or, in general, nurturing and nourishment issues. And if you notice, I already have some significator cards beneath the actual tarot cards. So from left to right, it moves chronologically from the distant past, but more than just decades or years ago. I'd like to believe that the card that you find here tells you a summation of things that you passed through or lived through in the past that shall affect the current moment. Okay. And then the recent pasts are just events that filled up your consciousness for the past months, days, weeks. So there's, again, I don't believe in specific time frames, but ito yung huli mong pinagkakaabalahan, and uh, and that has a direct bearing and flow into your here and now, which is an important card represented by the central card. So here and now is where you are, the pivot between what came before and the potentials of what's coming after. The immediate future, well, to traditional card readers, represent what's going to happen to you in the next days or weeks. But for me, it's your expectations about what you think you should be doing, or what you think the next period or chapter of your you know life will be. While the last card, what to use in the future, I'd like to think again as a pole star or a guiding star or something that uh, you know tells you that this might happen if you continue on your path. And if you look at the last card, it's the Ten of Swords. It's one of the most, what you call this, uh, badly reputed cards in the tarot. In traditional decks, it shows a man, obviously dead, lying with his face on the ground, and 10 swords are sticking on his back. And 10 swords, traditionally mean total defeat. But I don't believe in, you know, such dire prognosis. The swords represent the thinking ability or the mind, and tens represent the sukdulan, the need for an individual to move to the next level because you had one, the ace, up to nine to fulfill the arc of the suit, which is the swords, or the mental arc in this case. So, Ten of Swords could mean an overload of thinking, overthinking, which is why it looks like a very depressing card. So Ten of Swords in this position, the far future or the pole star means that you know you might tend to look at the, the future with dark eyes or in a gloomy sense. While the coming soon, your immediate projections show healthy anticipation. In the traditional deck, you have a man staring out on a precipice, waiting for his ships to come in, and it's the card of expectations, waiting for the fruits of your enterprise. The current card in the for me represents your mood and what this mood brings to all of the cards here. And if you Four of Cups represent dissatisfaction or a feeling of blah that you're not sad or happy. You just want to be somewhere else. You have in this case three ringing bowls, and you don't mind the three with you, and you're being offered an opportunity, but you're just not in the mood. Well, my recent pinagkakaabalahan, it's true. This Seven of Pentacles, it's a man waiting for the fruits of his labor, very patiently. He worked hard to create some projects, and he is willing to wait it out and allow nature to just bring it to fruition. While the root card, which symbolizes the foundation of all the other four cards, it's just telling us that maybe we should focus on the environment or creating a healthier environment. Mother Earth is asking for some attention here. So I want to do another spread because Mars recently just turned retrograde. And yes, maybe this next this spread shall tell us how to make the best of the coming 2 months. Okay, so we shuffle. I like shuffling in trees. So we get the first card. Yeah, I love Tabletop Simulator, folks. It's one of my best Steam games investment. And for me, you don't really have to believe in tarot cards or fortune telling, but if you're into writing or films, it's a beautiful way to imagine narratives or how events flow, or just read symbols and signs. So let's open the foundation of this Mars retro period. Oh, the Page of Wands. It represents pages, knights, queens, and kings represent people or personality types. So there are four suits. That's wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. And then you have four court cards, the pages or the princesses, the knights, the queens, and the kings. So pages represent the most, what do you call this, the youngest energy among the suits. So the page of wands usually represent a brilliant young individual with a new take on life. This person has no baggage when it comes to what came before, and it's all about future forward thinking. It doesn't have to be a single, individual, but the foundation, this card as the foundation, the next four tells us that we have to remain hopeful. We have to be inspired and, you know, not look back. So let's see how this, sense of brilliant inspiration could be expressed as practical matters that directly will affect us. Oh, the Ace of Cups. Aces or the one cards represent a beginning or an opportunity to just rewrite the book. And the cups, it represents the realm of feelings. So the four suits, wands represent the spiritual, cups represent feelings. As I mentioned earlier, swords represent the mental or intellectual fields, and pentacles represent the physical or the material realms. So Ace of Cups could mean a spark that can jumpstart a period of compassion. And all the ace cards usually represent a heart that's being born. Uh, if you notice, this is a very inspiring card, and it says what it can inspire us to is into a new level of compassion, or our feeling nature's got to gets to be more evolved. So let's see the pivot card, the here and now for the next 2 months. Five of Wands. Fives are very exciting cards, in the scheme of things. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. It's in the middle of the cycle of numbers. And fives represent change. And basically, in the four suits, the images represented are not very, happy, because they represent a situation where we have to adapt to change whether we like it or not. The Five of Wands specifically means a flurry of activity or a lot of competing interests that just fill up our consciousness. So you see all of these people striving for something. But I'd like to read the Five of Wands as healthy competition, wherein people with diverse goals have to work together in order to bring out a community project or a collective ambition. So again, inspiration, the beginning of compassion, and the idea that despite the fact that we're all coming from different places, we need to put these energies together so that we can, create a better atmosphere. So let's see what could be created. Oh, the Eight of Cups. In the traditional deck, it shows a woman who is blindfolded in a dark, marshy environment and surrounded with swords. and she's tied up or bound. The Eight of Cups represent. No, no, that's another card. That's the Eight of Swords. Sorry. So the Eight of Cups in the traditional deck show a man moving away from a stack of eight cups. It's the symbol of dissatisfaction with physical or emotional pleasures and a seeking of higher things. It's the time when a person tells himself, sawan-sawa na ako sa pagwawala, sawan-sawa na ako sa material or personal strivings. I want to seek something higher. It's a very interesting card because it shows a turning point in consciousness when a person believes that he's now ready to go on a higher plane. So all of this blended, working together, okay, can lead us to seek higher things. And I think, it's been happening already since March. The mere fact that we can't do 90% of what we used to do, we are forced to go inside. So let's see what the overall meaning of the cards will be, because the last card usually sums up the lessons we'll be learning from this period. Oh, the Six of Swords. It shows a person in a boat moving away from a conflict or a situation of war. In traditional decks, it's just that. It shows a couple, they're not very happy and they're in a boat with six swords, moving on towards some unknown future. It just tells us that wherever we are right now, we have to expect a movement forward to a less stressful place. I don't know how this will pan out, but in a way, despite the fact it's not a very bright and luminous card, it tells us that some of the stresses that we've been experiencing, we have the opportunity to escape from it. So if you put this together, well, despite the pandemic, you know, everybody just is bearing up, we haven't lost that spark of inspiration. We still haven't given up on ourselves or human nature. We know there's a lot of work at hand and we're willing to work on it. But the two cards here, the Eight of Cups and the Six of Swords, is telling us that we're being prepped to move on to another quantum level. So I don't know. Let's see how these cards work out for the next cycle. Well, I guess that's it, folks. You know, I'm gonna upload this to the YouTube channel, and I think that's a nice place for you guys to comment if this you think this is just plain bullshit, or if you've seen some of the what the cards are telling us being manifested in your own existence. So be happy, folks. Keep sane and safe.